And we are back with part 3 of this week's Shabbat service. This is the 18th of Av, also Saturday, August 8th, 2020 on the Gregorian calendar. And we are doing Parashat Ekev, and that translates into because. And we're doing Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 12 to chapter 11, verse 25. This is this week's Torah portion. And we are about to begin chapter 10. 2 new tablets. At that time Adonai said to me, carve for yourself 2 tablets of stone, like the first ones, and come up to me on the mountain. Make yourself an ark of wood. I will write on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets that you smashed, and you were to put them in the ark. So I made an ark of acacia wood, cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and went up the mountain with the 2 tablets in my hand. Like the first inscription, Adonai wrote on the tablets the 10 words, or the 10 commandments, he had spoken to you on the mountain from the midst of the fire on the day of the assembly, then gave them to me. Then I turned and came down from the mountain and put the tablets in the ark I had made, and there they are, just as Adonai commanded me. Bnei Israel traveled from the wells of the sons of Jachin to Moserah, and I'm going to spell that Jaakan, to Moserah, Moserah. There Aaron died and was buried, and his son Eleazar served as Kohen in his place. So now Aaron, Moses' brother, died in chapter 10 of Deuteronomy. From there they journeyed to Gudgod, 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 to Jotbah, Jotbah. I'm going to start that again. From there they journeyed to Gudgod, and from Gudgod to Jotbah, a land of wadis flowing with water. At that time Adonai set the tribe of Levi apart to carry the ark of the covenant of Adonai, to stand before Adonai to serve him, and to pronounce blessing in his name, as is the case to this day. Therefore Levi has no portion or inheritance with his brothers. Adonai is his inheritance, just as Adonai your God had promised about him. I stayed on the mountain like the first time, 40 days and 40 nights. Adonai listened to me that time also, and was not willing to destroy you. Adonai said to me, rise up, go journey ahead of the people, so that they may go in and possess the land that I swore to their fathers to give to them. So now, Israel, what does Adonai your God require of you but to fear Adonai your God, to walk in all his ways and love him, and to serve Adonai your God with all your heart and with all your soul, to keep the mitzvot of Adonai and his statutes that I am commanding you today for your own good? Behold, to Adonai your God belong the heavens and the highest of heavens, the earth and all that is in it. Only on your fathers did Adonai set his affection to love them, and he chose their descendants after them, you, from all the peoples, as is the case today. Now, I want to address a term, wadis, W-A-D-I, that is simply a valley or dry riverbed that fills with water when it rains. So when we talk about wadis, that's what we're talking about. Circumcise your hearts. Circumcise the foreskin of your heart, therefore do not be stiff-necked any more. For Adonai your God is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great, mighty, and awesome God, who does not show partiality or take a bribe. He enacts justice for the orphan and widow, and loves the outsider, giving him food and clothing. Therefore, love the outsider, for you were outsiders in the land of Egypt. Adonai your God, you will fear. You will fear him, will you serve. To him will you cling, and by his name will you swear. He is your praise and he is your God who has done for you these great and awesome things that your eyes have seen. Your fathers went down to Egypt with 70 persons, and now Adonai your God has made you like the stars of the heavens in number. So he's basically giving them instructions how they are to revere and honor Adonai. And I said that very slowly to for a point. And this is how he was addressing the people to make it very clear to them that Adonai is the only God that they need to be serving, and by him only will they serve, and to him only will they cling, and by his name only will they swear. So all of the praise and glory belongs to Adonai, and he was making that crystal clear. Chapter 11. Love and obey with all your heart. Therefore you are to love Adonai your God and keep his charge, his statutes, his ordinances, and his mitzvot at all times. And you should know this day that it was not your children who knew or saw the discipline of Adonai your God, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his outstretched arm, his signs and his deeds he did in the midst of Egypt, to Pharaoh king of Egypt, and to all his land, and what he did to the army of Egypt, to its horses and chariots, when he made the waters of the sea of reeds flow over them as they chased after you, and how Adonai has destroyed them to this day, what he did for you in the wilderness until you came to this place, and what he did to Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, sons of Reuben, how the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, along with their households and tents, every living thing that followed them in the midst of all Israel. This is when the uprising against Moses occurred, and remember, Adonai was very angry. This was Korah and clan, and he actually opened up the earth and swallowed them up, everything. Rather, it is your own eyes that have seen every mighty deed that Adonai has done. Therefore you are to keep the whole mitzvah that I am commanding you today, so that you may be strong and go in and possess the land that you are crossing over to possess, and so that you may prolong your days on the land that Adonai swore to give to your fathers and to their descendants, a land flowing with milk and honey. For the land you are going in to possess is not like the land of Egypt from which you came. There you planted your seed and watered it by foot, like a vegetable garden. But the land you are crossing over to possess is a land of hills and valleys, drinking from the rain of the heavens. It drinks in water. It is a land that Adonai your God cares for. The eyes of Adonai your God are always on it from the beginning of the year up to the end of the year. So like the early and latter rain. Now, if you listen obediently to my mitzvot that I am commanding you today, to love Adonai your God and to serve him with all your heart and soul, then I will give you rain for your land in its season. And here we go. We're talking about the early rain and the late rain, so that you may gather in your grain, new wine, and olive oil. I will give grass in your field for your livestock, and you will eat and be satisfied. Watch yourselves, so your heart is not deceived, and you turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. Then the anger of Adonai will be kindled against you, so he will shut up the sky, so that there will be no rain, and the soil will not yield its produce. Then you will perish quickly from the good land Adonai is giving you. Therefore you are to set these words of mine in your heart and in your soul. You are to bind them as a sign on your hand and as frontlets between your eyes. You are to teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. You are to write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, so that your days and the days of your children may be multiplied on the land Adonai swore to give to your fathers as long as the heavens are above the earth. For if you will diligently keep all this mitzvah that I am commanding you to do, to love Adonai your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cling to him, then Adonai will drive out all of these nations before you, and you will dispossess nations greater and mightier than yourselves. Every place where the sole of your foot treads will be yours, from the wilderness to the Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, as far as the western sea, will be your border. No one will be able to stand against you. Adonai, your God, will put the fear and dread of you upon all the land where you tread, just as he has promised you. So that is the end of the Torah portion for this week. And this is instructions that Moses is giving to the people. Aaron has passed away now. Again, Aaron, Miriam, Moses' sister, and Moses, none of them were going to cross over to the promised land. And a whole entire generation, remember, was going to fall in the wilderness and die in the wilderness because of unbelief. But Moses is preparing another generation that was going to go into the land with Joshua. But God was waiting for that generation to be able to move forward. But Moses is giving instruction, and he's actually reviewing again what has happened, the history that has happened to them from when Adonai led them out of Egypt, and also bringing up some of the things that they had done that actually reminded them to not do, to kindle the anger of Adonai against them. Um, so that is the end of the Torah portion. And we're gonna come back after a break and actually do the Haftarah and the Brit Kadashah together today. And I am sure this will also mirror what we're reading in the Torah portion like it always does. So we're going to close this in prayer. Father God, thank you. Thank you for your Torah. Thank you for your mighty instruction in your Torah. Your Torah is life to all of us who follow your words. It is life-giving for those that cling to it, as we have said. And we can see the mistakes what B'nai Israel did as they were brand new and free out of Egypt, how they quickly slipped into the ways that they had left versus just trusting you and going with what you were leading them into. They fell into unbelief, as Moses was reminding them. And what we need to remember is to lean into you. You are our Abba Father. So we need to lean into you for guidance and direction and allow you to lead and teach your ways to us. So we thank you for this. In the mighty name of Yeshua, Jesus, Amen and Amen. And we will come back, take a short break, and we will come back and begin the second part of our Shabbat service for Saturday, August 8th, 2020.